Hey, I'm your host, Melissa, and I want to welcome you to Not Your Average Blonde podcast. I'm here to show you how to elevate your life to become the best version of yourself. I want to take you along your journey to be anything but average and step into your confidence era. Join me each week by subscribing and listening to Not Your Average Blonde podcast, and let's begin our journey to become anything but average. What if I told you the biggest lie we all tend to believe is that we are behind in life? That there's a perfect timeline we're all supposed to be following, and if we aren't meeting those deadlines, we're somehow failing. This episode is here to challenge that belief and spark a conversation about embracing your path, even if it doesn't look like everyone else's. Welcome back to Not Your Average Blonde. I'm your host, Melissa, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today. This is a episode that I'm pretty excited actually to record because with all of this stuff that I have going on in my life right now, it has really thrown my timeline for a loop, and it's something I've been putting a lot of thought into. This timeline, it's something that so many of us that we carry in silence. We actually don't really talk about it too much, but yet we have so much pressure for it. Is that pressure of feeling like we're behind in life, or that we need to be doing the next thing, such as graduating high school or college or getting married, buying a house, having kids, you name it. But it's that this pressure that we place on ourselves to meet these arbitrary milestones and what it means to feel excited again about life's possibilities. Especially as we get older, I feel like it's so easy to get caught up just in the day-to-day just nuances of life that we lose that spark, we lose that excitement, and we forget how it feels to be excited for life's possibilities. And so I want to talk about today about challenging the myth of the perfect timeline, and then unpacking the impact of comparison, and then how to reignite that excitement for where you're headed to next and creating those possibilities for you. Whether it's your career, relationships, health, personal goals, society, it just has a way of making you feel like that you're running out of time. But I want to tell you that your timeline, it's not bound by societal expectations, because your timeline is exactly that. It's yours. So let's unpack the myth of the perfect timeline and how to stop comparing yourself to others, and how to embrace the season that we're in, which it can be very, very difficult to embrace the season that you're in. First off, it can be difficult to recognize what season you're in, but then also embracing that season, especially when you're very uncomfortable in that season. And so I want to talk more today about my journey of personal growth and reframing progress, some tips and tricks that I've had to incorporate, especially right now into my life, to maintain my mindset, and how to trust the pace of your own journey. So if you've been following me, as you well know, I'm going through a lot of just major health challenges right now that have completely thrown quite a few curveballs into my life. I'm on the cusp of a major life pivot, and we'll have to venture into the unknown. And I'll be honest, it's so daunting. Not being able to fly and losing my career in aviation, I'm struggling to find that spark of joy and that excitement again, for my future. With this medical stuff, it's like I said, it's so tough, and it's incredibly mentally challenging. And it's something that I really have to take day by day and sometimes moment by moment, because man, those throws, they're a lot. And it's something that it's going to take a long time for me to completely heal and recover from. And I'm finding that it can be a massive challenge sometimes to be optimistic and hopeful for my future, which is crazy because I know it's easier said than done, but here I am talking to you, and I know that my future, even though I'm going through all this stuff, I'm at a pivotal point where exactly that, I can pivot and I can create this next step, this next journey, this next phase. It is hard, especially since I have loved the career that I had, and it was something that I had worked towards for the last, I think 16 years of my life, a very long time, and to have it all gone as a result of a significant health event such as a stroke, and then dealing with blood clotting in my brain and in my body, and trying to recover from that. It's been nothing short of devastating, to be honest, because I thought I was on this career path and this plan, and it was something that I put a lot of time and effort into, and to have it just be gone almost overnight has been a bit devastating. So I've been doing a lot of reflection, on timelines, and especially on my own timeline. And as I'm facing this massive career pivot, I'm having to look at, potential future options. What do I want to do? This ranges from, developing and building like this podcast and like a brand and building like a community. I'm also looking at potentially going back to school for a doctoral level degree. As like I'm doing like my research, there is sometimes like an underlying intimidation and thoughts of, am I too old, or I am going to be so much younger than my peers. Like if I go back to school in this next potential career, I won't be getting started until like I'm almost 40 if I do end up going to school and then like graduating, which is kind of crazy when I say it like out loud. But this got me thinking more about like the myths that like we are told or that we tell ourselves about like that perfect timeline. Because like from the moment when we're young, we're handed this societal like blueprint of graduate high school by 18, finish college by 22, get married by 25, buy a house, have kids, climb that career ladder, climb that corporate ladder, retire comfortably at the age of like 65 or 70 or like whatever the fuck it is right now. Then they keep pushing it further and further back. But what happens like when you deviate like from that blueprint? When life happens and life doesn't follow that script. If you're not married by 30, if that career that you went to college for and graduated with and started isn't fulfilling you, or your career path isn't linear, you didn't get that promotion that you wanted, or you're not where you thought you would be at this time and point like in your life. If your dream shifts or life throws you a curveball, what if you're still trying to figure out things at 30, 40, 50, when your path doesn't resemble like the one that you imagined or the one that society has told you that you should follow? Now, let's be real. Most people's lives don't follow that timeline. They don't. They really do not. Their lives don't unfold the way that they imagined. And yet, for some reason, we're made to feel shame when ours doesn't. We internalize this guilt when we fall behind, but behind compared to who? Compared to what? This belief that we need to hit a specific milestone by a certain age, it's a myth. And also, newsflash, no one has it all figured out. No one. Not that person at 30, not that person at 25, definitely not in your 20s. Like, my God, like your 20s, like you're still exploring and you're still trying to figure things out and you're still learning who like you are. And even in your 30s, you have it a bit more like fine tuned and you're finally making a bit more money. You're more confident, hopefully. If not, this is why you're here listening to this podcast. You need to build up like that confidence and learn more of those skills. But the thing is, like, no one has it all figured out. And there's so much beauty in that. There's so much beauty. I think it's really cool because life, it just reiterates that like life is truly what you make of it. And you can change and pivot at any time. I'll tell you, like, my 30s have been way fucking better than like my 20s. I absolutely love my 30s. Even with all the challenges that I've had, I fucking love my 30s. And you know what? I'm excited for my 40s because I know my 40s are going to be pretty fucking awesome too because it's what I make of it. It's what I'm going to do with my time. But yet so often we fall into that belief and we get caught in that belief that we need to hit those specific milestones by a certain age, that we have to follow this societal like construct. And I see it time and time again that it keeps people stuck in cycles of stress and burnout. And it traps people in those negative thought processes. It makes me so sad when I hear people, and I hear it a lot from especially like women who are like in like their 40s or like 50s, when they want to do something different like in their life and they want to change, but they use that excuse of I'm too old to do X, or no one's ever going to hire me because of this, or whatever. There's just so much like negativity and so many negative excuses. But at the end of the day, like your timeline is yours and yours alone. Only you can take that leap and that pivot and to make that change. And you have to work through getting past those negative narratives and reframe your mindset to build like those positive narratives. It's like, okay, I'm too old to do X. All right, no, I'm not. Like, I may be 50 and I want to go to like med school. So you know what? I'm going to do that because better late than never. And who fucking cares if it's late? It's your life. If it's something that's going to bring you joy or something that you want to do, go fucking for it. Go do it. It doesn't matter how old you are. Just go and do it. If that's something that's going to bring you joy or fulfillment or edification or whatever the hell it is that you are searching for, go fucking do it. Because this one size fits all life plan, it's a myth. It's created by society and perpetuated by comparison. It was created by society and perpetuated by comparison. Life is not a race. It's not a competition. It's a journey with its own rhythm and pace. And your job is to honor your own timing. You are not late. You are living. Life moves in seasons of building, rest, healing, growth, clarity, and chaos. And you don't get to fast forward through those seasons just because it's uncomfortable. You have to sit with that season and learn the lessons and joy within like that season. Sometimes we want to jump from struggle to success, from confusion to clarity, but there's so much magic in that in between, in the chaos. It's where growth is happening, where you are being prepared for what's next. And if you're in a season of uncertainty, doubt, whatever it may be, trust that it's not wasted time. It might just be that exact space where your roots are growing deeper than ever before. I like to set aside time and do reflection of where I am, where I'm at in the sense of the here and the now. What season am I in right now? What is the season asking me to learn to? Like right now, I'm in a season of healing, of literal healing. I am being asked to learn how to slow down a lot. And I'm telling you, I have to slow down a fuck ton. Like it's hard sometimes. Like sometimes even going for a walk stresses my body too much right now. It's insane. But I really have to like listen to my body. But I'm having to exercise patience with slowing down and then trust in the universe that things will be okay. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes it's really hard, especially knowing that like I'm probably going to be losing my job over this health stuff. But I have to trust that, okay, like it happened. I can't change that. So what am I going to do going forward? It's not going to do me any good if I sit here, like at my house all day in like a dark space thinking negative thoughts or like sitting like in my pity. That doesn't do any good. It's not good for my health. It's not good for my mind. And that's not, frankly, that's not energy that like I want to put out there. Instead, like I'm choosing to look at it as, okay, I'm going to do what I can like today, whether that's I'm going to take my dog out, I'm going to go for a 15-minute walk. It's going to be a slow pace, but I'm going to get moving. I'm going to, outline the things that like I'm grateful for, build those positive like habits and those mindsets to build that optimism for the future. Am I intimidated by the future? Oh, fuck yeah, I am. But I'm choosing to view my future as an opportunity to be able to pivot, to be able to change, and to look and to see it as an endless amount of potential. And I trust and I know that like my health will be okay and that my future is going to be okay. Now, some seasons they're about planting seeds. Some are about watering and tending those seeds. And others are about harvesting. The thing is, you can't rush a season. We get into trouble when we resist the season we're in, when we try to fast forward to a different part of the story. I am very guilty of this. So guilty of this. I feel like every time I try to rush a season, that season tends to get prolonged to teach me more about patience and the power of letting go. Usually is like the lesson that comes from it on top of whatever other lessons, in that season. But if you're in a season of waiting right now, waiting for clarity, opportunity, healing, trust that the season is not a waste. It's where roots are growing deep. It's where strength is being built quietly. I've been through seasons where I felt completely still while everyone else seems to be moving. But when I look back, those were the moments I was actually becoming the most grounded, the most self aware, and the most prepared for what was coming next. This moment you're in right now, yes, this one, it has value. Don't rush through it just to get to the next thing. And that's hard, especially in today's day and age with like social media. We are constantly surrounded by highlight reels. Social media shows us the curated versions of other people's lives, the engagements, the new houses, the career wins, the children, the picture perfect moments, the vacations. But what we don't see is what's behind those posts: the anxiety, the debt, the loneliness, the second guessing. Comparison will always rob you of peace every time, every single time. It does no good. It makes you focus on what's missing instead of what you're building. And it convinces you that someone else's timeline is the standard. It keeps you locked in a cycle of chasing and never arriving. And when you're not constantly comparing yourself to others or obsessed with someone else's timeline, that's when you begin to shift your energy towards possibility. And that's where the excitement lives. Like there's a few people that I follow on my social media, and I'm very like meticulous with like who I follow and like the content that I'm consuming. But the people that like I follow, those are people that add that positive energy into my life. Like there's one lady who I follow, her name is Caroline Stanbury, and like I fucking love her. Like she's absolutely amazing, has a fantastic podcast. If you should totally look her up and listen to her. But like I love the life that like she has built. And like I don't view it as something that like I envy, but I view it as something as, that's achievable. Like that is something like I can attain in like this next chapter or in future chapters. She gives that example of like, wow, that's so cool. And honestly, like I'm genuinely very excited for her. And it's so fucking cool to see the life that she's been able to build and cultivate like after her divorce. But it shows me that it's possible. I'm not comparing my life to hers because like when you compare, you give away your power. You stop being the author of your story and you stop being the author of your story and you start trying to live someone else's script. So when you catch yourself like spiraling into comparison, go back to the questions of like, what do I actually want? What season am I in right now? What is life asking me to learn and embrace in this moment? So many people lose their spark because they're constantly measuring their lives by what they don't have. But what if you started focusing on what's possible? Like I said with Caroline Stanberry, like I view her life as like, wow, like this is possible. And it's so cool what she's been able to do and build like out of her next stage of life. She has an excitement for life. And I've learned that like excitement for life, it's a mindset. It ultimately is a choice and it's a practice of being open to wonder again. So if you're missing that excitement, start small. I'm going through this right now. I am going through this right now with this medical stuff. Sometimes I have to fight off depression. Like, man, damn, like it's so hard sometimes because it's very easy to get bogged down in the details of like self-pity and frustration and anger and like, my God, there's so many emotions that come along with it. And it's easy to lose sight of being optimistic and seeing the beauty that the future has because I can get so focused on what I'm losing out on. I have chosen to be able to, take those times, those moments to be able to process those feelings of like frustration, anger, sadness, whatever it may be. But I also have to consciously build in like those habits and reframe my mindset to being able to find that excitement. I have to deliberately build in exercises into my day to help me find that excitement again and to find that spark for the now and then for my future, to find that beauty in, this part of the journey. And some of those practices look like sometimes it's just as simple as I'll sit outside, enjoy the sunlight and reflect, or I will journal on the things that light me up. I'll sometimes sign up for something that I've never done before, if I'm not dealing with like health stuff. But if I find myself getting in a rut, sign up for like a class, that pottery class or something that you've always wanted to do, or the art class, or go check out that wine tasting event. Other things you can do is you can revisit old dreams that you thought were dead. Like right now, I'm kind of doing that. I'm revisiting old dreams that I thought were dead because I picked a career path and have dedicated myself to this career path, but I'm pivoting. I have to pivot for my future. And so I'm revisiting those old dreams and I'm pulling them off the shelf again and looking at them and considering them, which is fucking cool. For something more simple, it could be as simple as saying yes to something that scares you or something that you don't want to do, but it's going to be good for you, like going to catch a coffee or a lunch with a friend. I did that the other day. That's one thing. Like I have been feeling incredibly like socially avoidant, going through all this like health stuff, and it's bad. And I'm sorry for like my friends who listen to this if I haven't responded to your texts or if I've been very slow to like reply to like your phone calls or text messages. It has been such a battle for that desire to be social. But a couple of days ago, I took a friend up on the opportunity to be able to go and grab lunch. I didn't exactly like want to initially, but I knew it was going to be good for me. And that was like a relationship and investment that I wanted to make like with my time. And it was great. It was edifying. It got me outside. It got me, I had enough strength to be able to go, to like leave my home. I wasn't in excruciating pain, that I could actually be in the present and enjoy like that moment and that time and that conversation. But ultimately what this all boils down to is like the more you create moments of your life of joy and like peace, the more your excitement for life returns. And it all starts with your mindset, because mindset is everything. The way you think about your life becomes the way that you experience life. If you're constantly telling yourself that you're behind or you're not doing enough or that it's too late, you will believe that. You will start to believe it. But if you choose to believe that your timeline is uniquely your own, that your timeline is unfolding perfectly, that this season is preparing you for what's next, and that your life can still surprise you, you start to live life with a different energy. It's such a cool energy. I absolutely love it. It goes back to the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. If you haven't listened to my last episode, I think it was like episode 27, the one that I published like last week, I deep dive into fixed and growth mindsets. To summarize it on here, examples of a fixed mindset can be phrases such as like, this is just how I am. It's too late for me. Nothing will ever change. But a growth mindset, it says, I can learn from this. My future can look different than my past. Change is uncomfortable, but I can handle it. The more you practice having a growth mindset, the more resilient, adaptable, and excited that you become. It's not about being perfect because guess what? We're human. You're not fucking perfect. I'm not either. But what it is, it's about being curious and being willing to embrace that growth, to be able to embrace like those changes. So going back to comparison for a moment, I just want to reiterate that reminder. I'm sure you've heard it, but like comparison, it really is the thief of joy. But more importantly, it's a major energy leak. And every time you compare, you're giving away your energy to a life that isn't yours. What you need to do is bring that energy back into your life. Start by unfollowing or muting social media accounts that leave you feeling drained. Create morning and evening routines that ground you, that build you up. Write out weekly intentions that you can come back to, like when you feel scattered, to give yourself that reminder. Something else that I do on a daily basis, like right now, like I bought a journal going through all this medical stuff. And I am literally incorporating a practice of gratitude. I am doing daily gratitude. And sometimes I do it multiple times a day. Like one of my friends, like I'll send him a voice note and be like, hey, like here's what I'm grateful for today. What are you grateful for? And like I'll rattle off, like my list of things I'm grateful for. Or as I'm journaling each day, I will write down a list of at least 3 things of things that I am grateful for. They're not things that I should be grateful for, but it's the things that are real for me right now or right in that moment. Because I fully do believe that like your habits, your thoughts, and what you focus on, those are the things that create your reality. So going back to the whole timeline thing with creating like your reality, we often chase like those milestones that society has placed on us. They're not your own. You can choose to follow a path that is different than what society has laid out for you or whatever other pressures that you're receiving. You can choose to follow a different path. We often follow a path because we think we should, but not because it actually aligns with who we are. And that takes some time. Like if you're like in your 20s and you're listening to this, you probably did end up following that path. You probably did fall into the pressure of, whatever expectations, like your parents, family, religion, you name it, whatever it is that was placed like on you. And that's okay because guess what? Like you're young, you're still figuring life out. You're still figuring out like who you are. And that's a part of the journey is figuring out who you are, straying from that path a bit. Because everyone's timeline, it's so personal. And that's where the real success is. It's personal, it's aligned, it feels like peace. And it's redefining what success is on your terms. So I want you to ask yourself, like, what does success look like for you right now? Is it peace? Is it freedom? Is it getting out of bed and showing up today? Is it starting something new or letting something go? Success doesn't always look like more. Sometimes it can look like less stress, less pressure, less pretending. Right now, for me, like my definition of success, it's changing. It's having less stress. It's having less pressure. It's having more control of time. It's embracing more of who I am and living a more authentic life. I truly believe that like when you redefine success on your own terms, that pressure lifts. You stop trying to catch up to someone else's race and you start running your own at your own pace. Some other ways that like I've kind of refined like that timeline like in my life and have reframed like my mindset when it comes to like these pressures is getting down to the roots of your habits. So I will audit like my habits. And I do this like occasionally, either like once a month or like once a quarter if I'm like super busy, but I will take that time, set it aside, and I will audit my habits and figure out, okay, like, am I still on my own path or am I like straying or am I, following on someone else's like path? And you can start off with, auditing your influences. What are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you listening to? Who's shaping your vision of success? On social media, unfollow those accounts that trigger comparison or that trigger like those negative feelings. Like, why subject yourself to that? Who and what are you giving your energy to? And who and what are you receiving energy from? Is it aligned with what you want to become, with a person that you are becoming? Is it life-giving or is it energy draining? Check in with yourself regularly. Like journal or reflect on prompts like what season am I in? What am I learning right now? What am I excited about? What am I missing? Another thing is celebrating the micro wins. That's one thing I have for this year is celebration. And this is one I'm still struggling with is like learning how to celebrate more like in my life. So if you have any tips or recommendation, I would love to hear more on that. But that's my theme for the year is celebrate. And celebrating those micro wins is recognizing that progress isn't always massive. Celebrating those small things such as showing up, setting your boundary, asking for help, whatever it may be, add more celebration into your life. Another more concrete thing that you can do to help like audit your life and build like that vision for your future is create a vision board. Not based on what others have, but what you want. What are those things that light you up? Create a visual depiction of that vision that you have for your life. Not what you think is possible or what other people are telling you that you should do, but what you desire. As big and grand as you want it. Dream big. There's no limits. Dream big. Shoot for the stars. But build that vision board and then ask yourself, like, what steps can you take towards building those things? And then the last one, and I touched on this like a little bit when it comes to like journaling and earlier in this episode talking about like my gratitude and like mindset, but I had mentioned how like I will journal every day and I will write down 3 things that I am grateful for. I will write down those 3 things that, anchor me and force me to be like in the present, in the moment. I am really having to practice what I preach to maintain my mindset as I'm navigating this health stuff. And I have to remind myself that joy isn't in the big milestones. It's in the micro moments right now. And that there's a lot of beauty with that. And there's a lot of beauty like in this journey. And that's the thing for you is like, remember that like the path that you're on, the journey that you're on, this time and space that you're in, it's not linear. Your biggest breakthroughs might come after your biggest setbacks. And you're never too late. You are right on time, right where you need to be. Your timeline is sacred and your pace is perfect. If you're in a chapter that feels slow, uncertain, or nothing like what you'd planned, that's okay. Because there's a lot of beautiful things that grow in unexpected soil. And that's okay if you're there right now. Keep showing up, keep listening to yourself, keep reflecting inward, and keep choosing to believe that your path is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. So thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Not Your Average Blonde. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs this reminder. And please share and check me out. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Send this out to your friends. Help get the word out there. It helps me out a ton as well too. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. I love to hear from you guys. And I read through all of your comments and try to respond back. And let me know what future topics that you want to hear about too. This topic was great because like I said, like I'm navigating this right now. And it's that reminder of just because your life looks different, it doesn't mean that you're lost, and it means that you're living on your own terms. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey. And until next time, keep evolving, keep trusting, and never stop becoming the version of you that feels most true. You're not late. You're right on time.